Okay folks, so I'm going to show you today how to set up the bean animal on the Eclipse Eshopps Overflow box. It's got 1.5" diameter outflow holes into the box, and then it's got the 3 holes, and it comes with an emergency overflow tube. So in this video I'll use the center as the emergency overflow, because in order to use standard parts that you can find at the hardware store, you're going to have to put it in the center so you can elbow your fittings over to the side. Alright, so now it's time to set up the overflow, the primary siphon. And the way I'm going to do this is just like this. I'm going to take the pipe that's plenty long, and what I'm trying to do here is see how deep it's going to set down in there. And the reason I've got it so long is so I can pull it back out. And then I'm going to take a pin and mark that depth, the depth of that pipe and how far it goes down, because this is going to be a flush fitting and I want it to go down as far as it can without, I don't want it to leak. So I'm going to pull it back out and see, I've marked it right there. That's how deep that pipe is going to go in there. And the next thing I'm going to do is take the coupling and do the same thing, and then I'll make my cut. These fittings are called street elbows, and you can pick them up at any local hardware store. The next thing I'm going to do is mark the depth of this elbow coupling here. I want this to recess flush into it, and I want this section here to be flush. So I'm going to make it a little bit short. It doesn't need to seat all the way down there. And I kind of just put this line here right at the base of where I think it's going to seat. And so I'm gonna make my cut right here. Alright, so I've got this side in. Just did it the same way I told you I did it. I put the mark in and then I just sunk it as deep as the elbow would allow. So it's sitting pretty much flush. There's a small gap where that's resting up on that gasket, but I don't think that's a big deal at all. I think that's actually gonna work really nice as kind of a spacer to keep that apart. And on this one, I'll be honest as well, I just eyeballed it, completely guessed it, and it came out pretty well. The idea is it needs to be just a little bit below this, so when the water does come up here and fill that hole up, it'll start siphoning here before it reaches the emergency overflow. So I am going to have to take a little bit off here to drop it down just a little bit. Because it does need to be below the emergency overflow. And when this is at the right height, what I'm going to do is drill a hole in the top, so this will perform the Durso. Basically, it will not pull a full siphon until the water level is above this. What I have here is the Durso line, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to drill the hole in the top of it so I can perform the Durso. So it'll actually siphon when it needs to, and then it'll just free flow, gravity flow when it doesn't. So I'm using a really small drill bit. I'm not sure exactly what the diameter is, but all I'm going to do is just take it right here, drill it in, kind of ream it out, and the smaller the hole the better in my opinion. That's all I did right there. See if you can see that little tiny hole. I can always come back and ream it out larger later on if I need to. Super easy to do, just get a bigger drill bit. Okay, so here's everything installed. If you'll notice, I turned them a little bit to the outside so it would not impede the water flow from the tank into the box back here. The last part of setting up the bean animal system is tuning your siphon. So this here, the first line here, is the primary siphon. And if you'll notice from my previous videos, I've switched my plumbing around a little bit. I really like the idea of having the valves right here easy to access. So I did switch those up, and super easy to tune now. And this first line here is my primary siphon, and it's not pulling any air whatsoever. And the one in the back that's bubbling is my Durso line. And that one is pulling a little bit of air because it's basically gravity feeding down. And just want to show you it operating up here. And in the center, the red pipe is the emergency overflow. And it's operating just like it should. Hey folks, so one thing I did not show is I actually turned my main siphon into a Durso as well. I drilled a small hole in it just like I did for the Durso line because I simulated a power failure, and what seemed to keep happening is the main siphon line would suck a big gulp of air in, and then when the flow would return, it would keep that wedge of air in there and would not continue the siphon. It was kind of like it was getting airlocked. So the way I fixed it was I just drilled a small hole in the top, and the water level is constantly staying higher than that, so it's pulling a full siphon all the time anyway. So I didn't see a problem with it. It's basically pulling a full siphon, but if the water level does get too low, it'll suck air through the top hole and it'll actually kind of pull air in and break the siphon. So anyway, that's the one thing that I didn't actually show in the video, but I appreciate you guys watching, and please like and subscribe, and I've got lots of new and exciting things coming up next. So keep tuned, and I will hopefully bring you guys good content to keep up with. So I'll see you later. Bye.